We're live. All right. Let's get this show on the road. Welcome to Hack Days. And we're going to do a little bit of sharing, but if you were here watching, let's talk about what Hack Days is first, right? Sounds good. Yeah. I had zero coffee this morning, so there's a little.
It's not even morning.
I'm missing some steps. The synapses, they're not firing. Welcome to Hack Days. Hack Days is a weekly podcast kind of thing where we get together and we talk about our projects, your projects, latest news. Could be anything from comics, Cyberpunk, hacking, freaking, just general hackery. That's the worst introduction I've ever done in my life, I think. Well, I'm gonna keep going. And so, Hack Days happens at Noisebridge. Noisebridge is a volunteer-run, non-profit hackerspace here in the Bay Area. You're welcome to come out. It's open to the public from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And you can get a tour. We have a wonderful facility here up until August, where we have woodworking, laser cutting, 3D printers, hacking, the Floshin Toshin, and good spirits and great friends. So you should come out. It's here in the Mission District in San Francisco. And if you're not here in the Bay Area, tell us where you're from. Let us know what projects you're working on. And
Donate $5 per STRL del now. 10,000 person will win $1 million GIRS.
And this is Mary. That's also our local AI, you might say. Without further ado, we will introduce ourselves, probably share this around Facebook a little bit, and then jump into talking about whatever you want. That's how it works. And, Hack Days is really dictated by the people that join. So at some point during Hack Days, someone might show up and be like, I just want to talk about robotics, and then that's what we talk about, right? We also want to...
Unbox?
Yeah, we're also going to do an unboxing today. Oh, well, it's broken. The iPhone X. The most expensive phone in the world, I think.
No, it's not.
Well, they have the iPhone that was gold-plated. It was like $100,000.
Yeah, there are luxury phones that are so expensive.
Do you want a gold-plated one instead?
The not most expensive phone in the world. So we'll be doing an unboxing today, an unveiling. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. So stay tuned for that. And I wanted to say, and we'll have a raffle at the end, but that's not true. Don't stick around if you think there's going to be a raffle at the end for this. So,
but there could be.
But there might be. If you want to stick around.
There's only going to be one ticket, though.
Right. Okay. We share?
Yeah, my computer is slow.
Okay, do you need me to help you share? Oh, I need my computer anyway.
Yeah, where is your computer?
Something we can talk about while we get set up here is the big Hawaii nuclear attack that almost didn't happen. That did not happen. Yeah. That everyone got a message to their phone saying that there was going to be missiles heading everywhere, right? And it was a false alarm. Turned out to be a false alarm. The original message even said that this is not a test, which was like, it really drove home the hysteria, I think. And
that's how you know it's not a test when it says it's not a test.
Yeah, this is not a test, and you're like, oh, okay.
It's terrifying.
Did it have a winky face or anything after that?
It had like double handguns, and it was like, hey. No, and people. I had never thought about this, but people were putting their children in storage rooms, right? So they would take the manhole covers off and like start loading children up because they're the future, and so they wanted, I guess, their children to grow up, in Hawaii, after the rockets hit, and that's kind of a weird thing to like instinctively do, or is that something that's taught in school? Like, Okay,
get into
put your
desk?
children in the sewers.
It's back in the day. A lot of the things that they would teach people about nuclear preparation was just more to keep mass hysteria down. So back in the 60s, they teach students to get under their desks when there's going to be a nuclear attack. It's like that wouldn't really do anything, but it makes people feel a little bit more comfortable.
So, I read through all these Reddit threads of people that are like, yeah, I'm in Hawaii. I just clocked out at work and was like, screw it. I'm gonna just go home. I'm done with work for the day. It really puts a lot of things in perspective when you know the end is imminent, right? Like, you learn to prioritize your life.
Yeah, like you have the license to do things like that you wouldn't do normally. Like,
Right.
Like spend time with your children or
Smoke cigarettes. I would have smoked a
That's so
cigarette.
sad. Spend time with your children.
I wonder if you did a crime at that period, if you would get off with that crime.
There's no one to judge. Oh,
So
because
if I broke a window of a convenience store so I could get a beer, that was closed because I had 7 minutes to live, and then afterwards,
I think no one just talks about those days, like that hour or whatever. They're just like, yeah, man.
there's the example I used with Mallrats where the plane was going to crash, and you don't talk about what happens on the plane afterwards if it doesn't happen. Stuff happens. I don't know.
I brought up the idea of like, what kind of system that is an emergency like alert system that doesn't have an "Are you sure?" modal? Like, you're about to do X, Y, and Z. Are you sure? Yes or no?
Can we step back and how did it actually happen? I'm still unsure.
I don't know.
It's okay. So apparently the whole thing is a day. Like you check for it several times a day, and you have to accept whether you're going to send this crazy alert or you're like, no, nothing's happening. We're fine.
Oh, it's like that one show where they're on the island.
California.
The problem is that I read about, and it's not. This isn't necessarily political, but it's like the people that are supposed to be working in that space, they're understaffed because they haven't been filled by the current government.
Oh, wow.
So,
But regardless if they're understaffed, there has to be some procedures that people go through in order to, like, checks and balances that make sure that this doesn't happen, right? Like at least 2 steps. It shouldn't be 1 step. There should be something else. So like, press this button and turn this key that says, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
You know, like
what if it was done on purpose actually to test what would happen?
how many children they can fit in manhole covers.
No, check mass hysteria of the United States. It was a test like they used to do crazy tests in the 70s and 80s.
Who is the InfoWars Alex Jones? Are you listening to too much Alex Jones?
Well, I thought you had him on.
What if it was a test to see what would happen, or like, what if there was actually a missile that was coming and then they shot it down in time and they're like, just kidding.
Well, the government's done like crazy things in like the 70s where they would like test syphilis on counties. for
Nathan,
example.
always the bearer of the positive and enlightening and uplifting messages.
Or like in the 50s when they would have the bomb parties where the government I think it was in Nevada, would give these badges to people and say, hey, go watch the nuclear test and see how much radiation you get on your little badge and we'll collect them afterwards. Stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, they made
If it's terrible, it happened. It's
Wait, what is this? Say this again.
So I believe it was in the 50s when there were like
that was a big heyday of nuclear bomb testing in
nuclear bomb
Las
testing.
Vegas.
Yeah, in the Nevada area. So the government would issue these badges to people that would like.
Are you here for Hack Days?
Yes, we totally are.
Great.
Yeah.
Join Hack Days. We're live, so if you don't want to be live, don't be here.
Just hi.
Yeah. You can also wear shrouds, I guess.
Should I grab another
We have
chair?
Hack Day
Yeah.
shrouds.
Oh, we
Yeah.
have 2 chairs over here. You're good.
Cool.
Where's the camera so that I can make
Right
sure
there.
This is the camera.
awesome. I'm a little far. Maybe I'll just go stand right in front of it.
Yeah.
I get all the attention.
Go for it.
You do you.
The microphone is here, so you want to talk towards these things.
Okay, cool. Where is this broadcast? YouTube?
The dark web. No.
Noisebridge
Wow.
channel?
That's cool.
Yeah, there's this YouTube channel. It's a Hack Days YouTube channel. We also have a Hack Days Facebook group, which it gets shared to. So if you just search Hack Days live at Noisebridge on YouTube, you'll pull up our channel.
I don't know if I could be able to see or hear you over there. We can scoot over or something.
Oh yeah,
also,
yeah.
you
You
can't
should.
be there because
You can't be in
That
the.
makes a lot of sense.
Right?
Also, we can move that thing.
Okay. I'll move it.
Have people like sharing it out on their Facebook, or do you normally have like people around the table go do that?
Yeah.
Good, let's do that. I'm a growth hacker, so that's like the first thing I wanted to do. Was like, oh yeah, let's get some people in here.
Love growth hackers.
I'm Nathan, by the way.
Andrew, what's going on, man? I'm T. It's nice to meet you.
Okay, so when Hack Days grows this large with this many wonderful people, there's a tendency for people to have side conversations. Don't do that, because for people watching, it just sounds like a garbled mess. So if somebody's speaking, make sure that they finish before you start talking, right? That's the only thing I ask. Otherwise, Hack Days is an open forum, open platform for anyone to talk about anything nerdy, any projects they're working on, anything. It is what whoever shows up, right? Like ultimately. So we were just talking about the probably should have been like total like up like are you pretty sure that needs to happen? As well as like people, it was interesting because people were putting their children in sewer drains, right? They were like popping manhole covers up and tossing children in there. And then we got on the conspiracy theories, right? Of like, maybe there was a missile and it got shot down. And they were like, just kidding, right? Like, and more InfoWars type stuff. But that's not what we're about.
No. Not that there was a missile, but that maybe there was a test to see just what a certain group of the United States would do if there was a potential nuclear attack.
So really, we talk about anything. Yeah. We have a summit coming up. So yeah, actually, why don't we start out with you introducing yourselves?
Totally. My name is Will.
Hi, Will.
I live here in San Francisco. I'm a software engineer, and I wanted to come meet people that do stuff. So
Nice.
this is my first time here, and yeah, happy to meet y'all.
I'm Kim, a software engineer. This is my and I came just because I wanted to explore more of the hacker spaces that are available here, and this is a killer hacker space.
Yeah.
I'm Nathan. I work on Synapse.ai. I do. Yeah. My brain's a little slow today.
If you want to
I'm
scoot in a
coffee,
little
but
bit, you can get on camera.
You'll learn more about me as we talk more.
And these are your microphones, so if you're gonna talk right here.
Yeah, my name's T, just the letter T, and I guess I have a history with like patenting, plastics engineering. I invented like the bump stock for video game controllers.
The what stock?
Like a bump stock, like it's like it makes gamers shoot faster, basically.
Really?
Similar to like the bump stock guns. I'm out of that now. I just exited that business. I'm hoping to move to San Francisco.
You're out of the
Not
game.
hoping, I am moving.
Yeah.
Woo! I just have to get a job first.
Yeah.
And then like sort of towards the tail end of that stuff, I got really into the growth hacking stuff.
Cool.
And then I'm here. I'm very interested in like the sort of like design stuff that you guys have, like this table, and then and just like what other projects people have that I can help them, like if I can help contribute, if I can help them grow, like whatever. If they have questions about like how do you patent something,
Nice.
whatever, any of that stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I went through the patenting process to get a what do you call those patents that are like the thing that you get before the patent? Provisional patent. Correct.
Yeah.
And wow, that is a nightmare.
Did you get your provisional? Well, you get your provisional.
Yeah, regardless,
Did you
because
get
no
your
one
patent?
looks at it, right?
Did you get your patent though?
So we have to then file for a patent on it,
Yeah,
right?
you get 1 year.
Yeah. So we're still in the 1 year
Got
period.
it. You're in your provisional
Yeah.
period.
And but it was like, I mean, I was looking at patents and I was like, can I make this in Illustrator? Because they have people that you can actually send out your patents to get the technical drawings done, things like that. And I was just like locked up for an entire weekend trying to figure out how not to screw up.
Do you have
Just
a patent attorney?
What's that?
Do you have a patent attorney?
No, which is even like
you need a patent attorney.
yeah,
You did get the provisional though, right?
yeah.
What is it?
it was like something for chatbots to like create personas around like multiple chatbots contributing to a central persona for an end user thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
A couple of quick tips. Hey, I don't know what like I did it as like a micro entity or something like that. Something like the cheapest one. Pay to fast track it 100%. Like the fact that I did that was just all. It was way better. It didn't cost that much money. It was like an extra $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah.
Super cheap.
Yeah.
And then you could file with continuation, which means like while it's like waiting in line to get reviewed to actually get issued, you can just continually file more stuff. And before my patent issued, I filed an entirely new function on my patent.
Really?
And we got it 2 weeks later, and it was included in it.
That's.
I just had a good attorney who gave me all this advice, so I'll just pass it on.
Yeah. Nice.
We ended up using all of it.
That's awesome. I am a nerd. I'm the CEO. We're trying to decentralize AI. Yay! We have the Decentralized AI Summit coming up with awesome community. Who else?
Oh my god.
NVIDIA.
Yes.
Researchers.
Yeah.
So not only do we cover decentralized AI, but we also cover applied AI, IoT, business applications, and we're also going to have cool panels on like singularity stuff and a lot of like blue sky, like ethics and AI, things like that. So if you're interested, decentralized AI, just have a new venue. So check that out, and if you're interested, come on out. So that's my quick introduction and plug. Your turn.
I'm gonna talk.
We're also gonna do an unboxing later.
This is mine. My name's Catherine, and I don't really have anything to say. Welcome. What's your name?
That's the camera. I'm Ben. I do NLP stuff at Google. When I was in grad school, I used to really be into digital literature, like making weird reactive poetry stuff. And I tried today to figure out, to remember how to do that. How to like actually put things on the internet.
What, in high school you said? All I heard was school and poetry, and I remember that my English teacher in high school would let me get away with in front of the class, which is like, yeah.
Really? I would do that.
So we're live on camera. You should be in this area, otherwise that's the camera. Yeah.
It's a neat camera.
So what is that exactly?
Digital, there's actually a really cool, if you want to see, there's if you type in, I think it's called election, is that it? Yeah. Yeah, there's 3 volumes. One of the people who's really into this is this professor at Brown, where I was in grad school. He sort of has this, there's a Brown-RISD collaborative, joint. There was a dude, RISD, who's also Daniel Howe, and they would teach classes together that were literature organization, electronic literature collection things. You'll see sort of what it is. It's just sort of poetry, or just text.
So is that the kind of thing where you like have a web page and there's text that there's a background that is animated, stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could call it in general. It's just like trying to use.
Okay.
And I don't know, I really like it. I used to be into it, but recently, job over my life, so I'd like to take a little bit of my life back from corporate overlords.
an audio guy.
Oh, I need to start working on something before I need any. I just want to. I'm trying to remember how to successfully upload code to a website. That kind. What's that?
How to live.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, they want to share?
I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah.
I work during the day as a full stack developer for a financial company, and stuff that I've been doing around automatic composition of music. There are one of the what's happened kind of over the last 20 years is the tools have become cheaper, computers have become faster, and convincing professional music with like one laptop and one relatively cheap digital audio. This trend can be taken a lot further, where we build tools, software, some minimal hardware that allows people with to create maybe not professional music, but interesting sounding music, enough to spark curiosity and to get them lately on some tools that will take like any melody and turn it into a series of chords that sound okay. Programmatic manipulation of audio to make it sound interesting.
Is there a lot of built-in music theory that it uses as like its ground rules for?
Started on that. There's been a lot of good work done already in this field on algorithmic composition, and you can incorporate a lot of music theory into this, like picking chords that sound good together, picking a tempo, putting emphasis in certain places, and I'm really just getting started on this. I've been using a DAW called that's programmable in Lua, which is something that I've gotten away from and just getting back into.
Are you here for Hack Days?
No, but I heard music theory, so I just wanted to just...
Well, we're live streaming, so if you want to be live, you can be in front of that camera.
Yeah, as long as you guys don't mind.
We don't mind. Hack Days is open, and yeah. But it's open to anything, so you're here for the ride. Yeah, so Lua is something that I think started out with gamers, or was popular with gamers as a programming language?
It started out as a scripting language out of Brazil, out of the PUC at Rio, and it was used, I think, maybe first in the petroleum industry of all things, and then it caught on as a scripting language for World of Warcraft, and I think that's kind of the primary way that people came to know it in the early days, but now it's used in scripting in tons of different places, probably more fields than I can fit into a single sentence. But it's really useful because the executable size is small, the code is fast, and it's got a pretty simple syntax. So it's ideal for somebody who has like a lot of domain knowledge and a little bit of programming knowledge, and they want to build some script or add some additional functionality to a program they already own. Mm-hmm. And then usually there's no need to install additional interpreter or additional language like you would have with Java or Python. So. And
you said this is called automatic composition?
Algorithmic composition.
Algorithmic composition. So is there any model building with that? Like, are you kind of human in the loop telling the algorithm what's good and what's bad? Or how does that...
It hasn't... I'm sure somebody's done some great work on this. Like, you're thinking of, like, machine learning, basically.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if it's just algorithmic composition and there aren't that many built-in rules, it has to learn a rule set of what's good and what's bad. How do you determine, like, the output is, I guess, converging on something that matters?
So what happens right now in the tools that I've come across is you put in like you use the rules of music theory. Basically, you say, okay, I want to start in this key. I want it to have this relative level of dissonance or harmony, and here's a random number, and go. And then you use like various algorithms for whether you want something that's more like a drum pattern or something more like a melody line. But I'm sure there have to be some people who've done a lot of good work on machine learning in these kinds of scenarios. And that's a really exciting field too, because I can imagine a future where a DJ or somebody else that's a music professional kind of grabs snippets of things they like, and you feed it into an algorithm, and it kind of comes out with something completely new. I'm also interested in kind of the legal implications of that, because if it were a human in the loop that's taking these different influences and putting it together, the human is inspired, and it's their original work.
Is that the basis for original work? Is that they're like divinely inspired to generate some output?
Not quite, but what you can say is something along the lines of, this is a common theme in this style of music, and this is a common element here, and it's so common that no one has the exclusive right to use it. But does that change when you have inputs that are copyrighted works that are going in as the input and a new work as the output?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's just like you're inspired by someone else's work, like in the style of, or I mean, and how many degrees of separation or difference can there be before something is not the original work?
Yeah.
They had the photographer who created a set of artwork off of taking photos of people's Instagram pages. So they would take a photo of the border around the Instagram photo, and they were able to see that was original work.
Oh, interesting.
So it's very interesting. I guess it also matters on what district you're actually doing these in, because usually when they go federal, it'll be a lot harder. But
And this is another question that I have. It's when a computer generates music on behalf of the developer, whoever, the owner, does the owner maintain the rights, or the algorithm itself? Or like if I build an agent that I just give an AWS instance and let run and generate music all day that it posts on Twitter, can I give a license so that the machine then has ownership? I mean, how does ownership in that work when works are generated by a computer, I guess?
And then there was also that case of the photo was taken by not the photographer, but a monkey holding the photographer's camera. And so they were saying that initially that he didn't have right. It wasn't his photo; it was the monkey's photo. So it's just interesting. Like,
So what was the conclusion then? Was it the monkey's photo?
I believe it's still in court. Let me look it up right now. It's monkey took a selfie. Keep on talking, and I'll come back to this.
So my really bad legal background on this issue is something along the lines of if you view the program as like an interpreter, then it depends on the rights that were granted to you as the user of the interpreter. Like for example, if you take the Java interpreter, for example, there's an explicit clause in the use terms that says something like, we own the rights to the interpreter, but you can use the interpreter as you wish, and the programs that you create and the bytecode that you create remains yours. So usually there's, in that instance anyway, there's like a legal definition that means you retain the rights.
Yeah, so in the case of the monkey, a group was actually suing on behalf of the monkey owning the rights to say that, animals have rights. And
Monkeys' rights activists?
Yes, but the judge ruled in favor, saying that the monkey does not have the rights to the photo or any copyright.
The biased judge.
So that would mean that whoever owns whoever owns the actual
camera
hardware owns the rights to the photo.
Interesting. So what if you give a program an Ethereum wallet to allocate whatever resource in order to output this music, right? Like, I don't know. It's always fascinating to me. It's like, at what point are we going to separate our programs from the owners, right? And like, when those agents become autonomous, like, at what point do we grant them the ability to decide the repercussions of their actions, right?
I have no clue.
I know it's kind of super out of the way.
My guess is, though, that the timeline will look something like it will be common practice for agents to be autonomous, and then the courts will take 10 or 15 years to catch up.
Yeah.
And I have no idea when the clock is going to start on that.
Yeah. It occurs to me that pragmatically they're going to want humans to track responsibility back to.
Yeah.
So that seems to argue against them giving autonomy legally to agents, because then people can say, hey, that wasn't me, that was just this program, that caused power to be turned off to all of the East Coast. So it's not me. You got to go after the program, just delete it. I can see there being a built-in need to not give away autonomy just for responsibility legally, repercussions.
And we're seeing that a little bit with the self-driving cars now, because I believe Google, with their self-driving program, has taken legal. If a Google self-driving car injures you, Google is liable. It's not the car, not the manufacturer, not the driver. It's Google.
So is it? So Google in that case has the, they own the full stack. They own the hardware. They own the sensors, but they also own the computer model that's being run, right? Determining on which decisions to make and when. Mm-hmm. So in the case where we have a more modular system where someone else owns the sensors, someone else owns the automobile, someone else owns the model being run on that, especially if we're talking about federated machine learning or crowdsourced open models, things like this. Then who's at fault? Is it purely, then you have to find fault? Is it the system? Is it the algorithm itself? Is it some hardware defect, right? I think that's probably the case.
Yeah, I think it in that case, it probably, at least in the near term, I think we're going to see people, when there's a system like that that's built that has some chance to go wrong and do some real damage, there's going to be somebody who explicitly steps in and takes the liability for a price.
Insurance?
Yeah, like an insurance sort of thing. I don't know, what are people's thoughts on that?
What do we gain from that? Is it just to have someone to punish?
Gain.
That's it?
Cover your ass, basically.
Yeah. We have to have a human to hurt?
Or a corporation.
Yeah. Well, it only protects the corporation in that sense, really. If there's a way for the corporation to throw the blame at something else. I mean, corporations have begged to be considered people since, the dawn of as soon as they could. So the fact that they can throw the blame somewhere else is kind of
It's like in the case of a self-driving car, or at least punishment in general, is to make sure that the behavior doesn't happen in the future, right? So you have this onus put on a person to say he will suffer, and that makes you more likely to update your self-driving car. Is that the game?
And how do you guarantee that that particular pattern won't happen again?
Right.
You can guarantee that perhaps it won't happen in that edge case, but there might be a pattern of edge cases that you can't predict, right? Or that you can't guarantee that it won't happen.
Are you talking about the companies that own the technology not fixing the problems, or are you talking about the users of the technology at a lower level not using it properly?
Well, I mean, the people who own the vehicles themselves, they won't be using them. They'll be passengers, there'll be boxes in a car, basically, just getting shipped around.
Yeah.
There won't be any usage, as it said, improper usage.
Anyway. To your point, I think at least in the U.S., probably we'll see this continuing trend of the corporation that designed the software taking the legal liability on themselves, just so that they can get this past the right government functions. And maybe, hopefully that works, so that if somebody gets in a really expensive accident, that Google or whoever owns the car has the self-interest to fix it.
Well, that'd be very expensive. That'd be
I would
extraordinarily expensive.
I imagine they will throw that to government entities to be covering that versus themselves. I don't ever see any corporation on the planet being like, yeah, sue us if a problem happens. We'll gladly pay the $100 billion.
Although I think in the unique case of self-driving cars, there's, and I could be getting these facts wrong, I think there was actually what's the federal agency that's in charge of automobiles? The
Transportation?
The Transportation Agency. I think there was actually, they were going to stop or put hurdles in the path of these people who were developing self-driving cars unless there was a solution to the liability problem. So it was necessary for the people who were making the cars to assume the liability in order to prove the technology and hopefully gain a place in the market. But yeah, it's a very unusual case, and maybe we'll see more like it in the future. I don't know.
I want to be far more positive, but I see a case like this happening in Google being able to say, well, they didn't let the car go get an upgrade.
Also, you can't keep picking on that one company.
Yeah.
So
I have to say, okay, how about Cruise? Would that be a good
Cruise.
example?
Yeah.
Alright.
Uber.
So,
Sure, Cruise,
That
Uber.
one's easy. We
Yeah.
can just say Uber. Just say Uber.
Yeah, just say Uber.
When Papa John's gets into the vehicle,
Domino's has an
Domino's
autonomous
did,
vehicle.
yeah.
so when the Domino's vehicle is being used, they'll be like, "Oh, well, you didn't check the tire gauge properly, so we believe that it's your fault. So we are not liable for this."
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
how
that
does
happens-
insurance happen? How does health insurance happen right now? It's supposed to, well, in cases it's supposed to cover, but if there's any reason that they can say it's not covered, they'll step out of pay.
But that happened with Tesla, right? In the Tesla crash, they said, "Oh, it wasn't our fault," right? They have all the sensor data. They can definitely find where the blame belongs.
Yep.
But then there's also like, well, if you don't have a third party kind of monitoring this, and you're having Tesla be their own judge and jury on their sensor data.
So it goes back to the nuclear test. So you said like it was designed improperly. Is it the person's fault or is it the technology's fault that that nuclear alarm went off?
It's the person who built the system.
So what I've been seeing in reports is that it's the person's fault.
No, I think there needed to be way more steps,
Yeah.
probably.
But they're not blaming that. They're throwing the blame at like the actual like government like of Hawaii, saying that like the people that were in charge messed up. They're not saying that.
Unless it was a case of like a million monkeys and a million typewriters just magically getting the sequence of keys and buttons right. Like, it sounds like it was a technology problem
I really hope that was a government experiment. At some
and
point.
user experience problem, right?
Yeah, I think it was a user error.
No one wants to be wrong.
That's very true. Yeah, nobody wants to be wrong, and nobody
No
wants
one wants to pay.
Nobody wants to foot a $1 billion bill.
No one wants to kill anyone either.
Yeah.
That too.
All right.
No.
So
We all don't feel that way. Okay.
do you want to introduce yourselves? What do you?
Yeah, hi, my name's James Beach. I just walked in and this is an interesting conversation, so glad to be here.
Yeah,
James.
Hi.
What are you working on? What are you into? What are your background?
Day job, I'm a technical writer. I also write science fiction. I live around the corner from here and I was glad to start coming here. I was very interested in the possibility of auto trading currencies between different currencies. Just as a possibility. It seems from recent tax laws changes that you guys may be aware of, it may be too much of a record-keeping bear to go into. But it still might. But that's like an interest of mine.
And there's a guaranteed tax implication for trading like versus like assets in crypto. So if you have a high frequency trading bot that's doing arbitrage between different exchanges, there's some implications there.
Yeah, and do you know if that would be added up at the end of the year or quarterly, or it would be per trade?
It's per trade.
Oh, jeez.
It's super shitty.
Yeah.
It is as bad as you can imagine.
Oh,
Yeah, it really is. Which, like, incentivizes people to build tech where their activity becomes more secretive, right? Which is why I think you've seen things like Bitcoin Private now, which is a new fork coming out, which implements ZK Snark. I think I said that right. Zero knowledge, basic stuff. That I guess Zcash already has, and Litecoin might be coming out with. But yeah,
Monero has
there's
similar.
Monero, yeah. And so but there are a lot of people that are
Rated network.
Yeah.
are
Wait,
creating.
Right. I'm sorry. You said
Okay.
no side conversation.
It forked into another conversation. It stayed on crypto. And
It was actually
stayed
his
on
fault.
security.
He said something.
But there are people that do that, right? But
That was-
it's a hot field. Like every time somebody comes out with like, oh, here's my algorithmic trader for cryptocurrencies, it's just like 1 million stars across GitHub, right? Even if it doesn't work, even if they come out and they're like, I've lost thousands of dollars, you've been working on this thing, don't touch it, you should never run it. People love it. People eat it up, right? Just at the possibility that there could be a single parameter change that nets you millions of dollars, I guess.
When did they come out and specifically say that any trade was a tax implication?
November.
I wonder if that was done to more stabilize the market or just slow down like the growth.
It actually wasn't necessarily just targeted at cryptocurrencies. It used to apply to a lot of different assets, and right now it only applies to real estate. It applies to art, like paintings and stuff.
Really?
That's out the door now. there's a whole swath of different types of things that got hit.
That is the one thing that crypto is missing that all these other groups are. They don't have lobbyist groups really that are like focusing on the government to make better.
Not that you know of.
Not that we know of that aren't JP Morgan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also in their interest to keep less financially well-off people out of the market. So
Yeah.
it would only make sense that we would have further regulation like that.
So then like people are going to be holding on to certain currencies, cryptocurrencies, much longer now because they don't want to deal with the tax implications.
Yeah.
There's a business opportunity in there for somebody to come along with a platform that allows you to manage your cryptocurrencies for you. I think.
Your tax stuff? Like accounting? There are.
There are? Cool.
There's like Bitcoin.taxes or something.
And they have specific integrations with like
Coinbase.
Binance and Coinbase and stuff. It's pretty. We have to like upload a file. They don't like give you your credentials. It's pretty sweet though.
All right.
Coinbase does a basic one for any of their transactions, but
What cryptocurrency are you hot on now?
It is seemingly all the same. We don't know if it will mean anything or not, right? So
Yeah.
I at least lean towards coins that seem like they could do a thing.
Yeah.
Although I have a certain soft spot for Dogecoin, which does nothing. What just has taken off. Like I heard
$2
the guys
billion
actually what?
$2 billion market cap.
Jeez, I'd heard that they sponsored a NASCAR team.
Well, they did that a while ago. I thought, right?
They did the Jamaican bobsled team. That was another one.
Is right, and that is great.
Yeah.
Right there. That's just great. That's value gained right there.
Jackson Palmer is actually one of our advisors for our project, and great person, super awesome, truthful, honest, like one of the greatest people in cryptocurrency because they're not afraid to express their ultimate truth, right? No matter the implication. And one of the things that I loved about Dogecoin when we found out about it back in like 2013, 2014 or something, was that it was so cheap that people were just using it to like tip each other with all the time.
Yeah, on Reddit, it's awesome.
It was the first application of cryptocurrency that we saw, and people still use it for that. But now people are like super rich, right? I guess for.
What is your project? I know that you mentioned it when we started the video.
So we're Synapse.ai. We're creating a decentralized marketplace for data and machine learning models.
No way.
Yeah.
So, what? Out of curiosity, like, what's a model that you guys have like targeted? When?
So like any computer vision classification will probably be first. So we're partnering with machine learning as a platform. Companies and startups so that they can get access to this data, and we basically create like access control and provenance through it. And our big dream is to crowdsource data in a very open way to build open models, right? That represents everyone equally. I guess we're trying to eliminate bias, right? Ultimately. But yeah, that's kind of like what we're working on right now.
So like what got me kind of going around to these things is I started a project. The goal was to eliminate internet ads, and the whole
I hate that.
And it kind of like results in like you need like sponsored spaces, kind of, and we kind of wanted to give you the ability to, instead of having an ad, you would draw a box, run a cat, and an image.
Yeah.
And it would be a sponsored space because you'd be helping some company build out a machine learning set.
That's genius.
Yeah, but that's it. We really wanted, and then my buddy went off the deep end with it, and he's like, we can use IOTA, this other cryptocurrency, to pay people for their time.
It's basically like a CAPTCHA, but you're using it to pay the company, right?
Yeah. But the whole idea was anything that could kill ads, we hate ads.
That's the dream. I think ads are definitely like there's a huge gap that ads fill where there's this void of like unknown, right? And if you can target people more directly through what they appreciate, like when I'm searching for black running tennis shoes that would reflect me and my fashion sense, I want the best ads at the cheapest price, right? And I think if you can get recommendations down where they're organic and make sense, that ads kind of seem to go away, right? But there's also an opportunity for ads to help people explore new products as well, right? And so there is some utility because I've met people that actually buy things from ads. right? And just because I hate ads doesn't mean like all people hate ads.
I buy things from ads.
Yeah, I feel
Case
like
in point.
most people who think that they don't buy things from ads just don't know that they do.
Yeah,
Right.
everyone buys things.
Just as an advertiser, I spent like $5,000. Probably more than that now on Facebook ads alone, and like the shit works.
Yeah.
Like and just the better job I would do targeting, like you said, like showing it to the relevant people, which is its own thing. Like relevance is its own category within your ad campaign. As soon as I get an ad that popped on relevance, people would be sharing it with their friends. It's just like you said, the ad goes away and now it's just content.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just like thinking of not thinking of it as a singular ad, but like the series of ads. Like you have like the intro ad where like someone just finds out about your thing, and then like the remarketing ads are like the closers. You know, like those rake in money.
So you create like a narrative with these.
Yeah, like a whole story, and then it's like a mixture. In my business, we had about 80% of our customers went through YouTube at one portion of their at one point in the customer journey before they purchased. And so we don't necessarily know when they're going to hit our YouTube, but we just had like so much organic content on YouTube, like showing us being human beings, and just like it was a gaming company, so like just like gamers, like we would just post videos of us gaming or talking about slick stuff in the gaming world, and just like working in the office, you know. And so at some point, customers would go through and see some of that stuff, and like that was the hook. And then we hit them with the remarketing afterwards, when they like already had put it in their cart and they just like forgot to buy it. Which like I feel like every person who wants to buy off the website that's on Amazon forgets to actually buy the thing that they wanted to buy.
Right. Cart abandonment is huge.
Ridiculous. So anyway, like it's ads. I feel like are just way more broad than like a normal typical consumer would think. It's just like, oh, it's that one thing I see on Facebook.
Right.
Anyway, that's my tangent on ads.
Yeah.
They do work.
Yeah, they totally work.
Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Right. The sentence that is
I like
one
to end our
word.
rants with that.
Yeah.
That was great.
Drop the mic.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, like I'm okay with ads mostly, but what's the evil that you see in them, and like is there a way to kind of palliate that in a way that doesn't involve removing them entirely? Because if I were going to take your idea and say like I want to get rid of ads, I would think there'd be a series of steps you'd go through. Like you'd start with like, you know, making them less obnoxious and more targeted, or more less obtrusive, and then you might eventually work your way towards ad independence.
Totally. We kind of had a similar thought. Our hang-up was that at the end of the day, the advertisement exists to make the user generate value, because there's this likelihood that he may purchase something. And that really relegates the human to only being able to generate value by buying stuff. Mm-hmm. And that just doesn't feel right. Like the only thing that we can provide as an entity that is conscious is the ability to fork over cash for a product. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was it. That's the only reason that we wanted to end it. We totally thought about like coming up with just like a better way to scope ads, a better way to figure out what you want. That's already kind of like an occupied space, like you guys know. And it really was just this notion of you just need to generate value somehow.
Did you guys do like solid projections that made it ROI positive? I'm just curious, like how did you?
So to be honest, like when we sat down, we were looking at it. It was really more about like projecting the need for data sets in the future. We know it'll grow.
That's a compelling argument.
We know it'll grow, but we don't know if it'll ever be like truly valuable. Like there's already free data sets out there.
The market doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people, when they generate data sets, they are in a unique position to be the strongest power to do so.
Yeah.
Being able to have a fleet of driving cars going around collecting data, being able to have a camera strapped to it and build out OCR models or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And this is like it almost like parlays into your project of like just like a platform or set of APIs where anyone who has a decent model could just like plug in and like let that model just make money passively for them.
Yeah.
Is that sort of along the lines of like what you're working on?
And if you think about it like as a kind of part of we call it the AI economy, where you have people who are contributing data that go to build these models, and when people leverage these models and pay for the models, you can create, because you have provenance through like Ethereum or something, people who've contributed or had access to build these models, you can go back and create an economy of like royalties So you can pay people in perpetuity for building these models, right? So if everyone straps on, sensors to their car, they're basically training the next generation of autonomous vehicles, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, in my mind, the answer to UBI, or at least a supplement to kind of UBI.
What's UBI?
Universal Basic Income,
Okay.
right? Because once we train our robot overlords, they should be paying us, right? And so, yeah, I think that there are a bunch of people thinking about it along these terms. There was like Jared Lanier's book, Who Owns the Future, which he talks about kind of this local maxima that we're in, where you have these very siloed companies like, we all know the companies. And the only way to break out of where we're at right now is to build like these decentralized marketplaces of data and intelligence and things like that. Right?
How long have you been working on that?
So it started out of another project called Playa, and it iterated into something called Hysteria, which was like a wearable sensor fusion device that had a bot platform with a voice interface and had a crypto component. Yeah, trust me. Try explaining that in 2016 when people were like, I don't know what an ICO is. And it was just like, and no one knew what bots were at that point. We were calling them autonomous intelligent agents. Right. And then it ended up into this. So we've been working on this in terms of like Solidity development since maybe August. But prior to that, we were kind of road showing it and talking to people since like June of last year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you and you mentioned this, I guess object recognition is like kind of like the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
What kind of models? What's the most popular type of model out there? Like, what do people?
So it's not launched yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't put the code out there. We're actually building a developer program. So I finished the marketplace, and we have our token, and we're building a developer program to kind of validate developers to join, because we have a competitor who likes ripping us off, like at every step
What's
of the way.
What's the name of the competitor?
No comment.
Yeah, no comment.
Can you trick them into a terrible step?
I really want to. I've thought about this so many times. Just like putting out bad code, but then that code would be representative of like our initiative. So, yeah, it's
Best thing to do is just as much as you can ignore it.
Yeah.
Just do what it is that you have envisioned.
Yeah, and that's ultimately right. And so we're getting our developer program together because we also have a developer fund where we want other people to build on top of this and integrate into it. So there's this whole like internal kind of project to get this off the ground and get our code into the hands of the right developers, right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
What so it's like a kit? What is it?
So ours is only software, right? It's
Cool.
just like we just provide you with the API and interface, and you can show us how you want to integrate it, and we can facilitate kind of anything at this moment. Yeah,
Cool.
because it's open, right? We're looking to partner with a couple of different companies. Like if you've checked out OpenMind, they're brand new, kind of started around the same time we did. There's a person named Trask who kind of heads up that project, and it's all about using like fully homomorphic encryption to protect like the models and data. And
When people say homomorphic, that just means not asymmetric, right?
so the simplest way to explain it is like you have something that's encrypted, and you have something else that can operate on that encrypted thing and like get something out of that thing.
That's all homomorphic means.
In this sense,
Okay.
right? I am not a cryptographer, so I have to dumb things down for myself. And they're also looking at multi-party computing, right? How can you get like distributed compute working securely between multiple parties? And they have an example of them running on like a PlayStation or something like that, typical like study at home kind of experience probably. But there's no marketplace, there's no ontology, there's no smart contracts, agents to like interacting them with one another or things like that. So
Cool.
yeah, there's this whole like stack that's developing.
What'd you build the marketplace in?
Solidity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's why like pretty much everything's kept off chain. You know.
Totally.
Yeah.
So just thinking of ads and possible useful things, because ads really aren't useful as described. They just make people buy stuff. If someone needs to buy something, they buy it. Has there been any work with making ads do something like whole proteins instead, and like that's the value added?
That's basically what you're talking about, right? Is like getting the end user. So
It has to be simple and
No, but
fast.
Yeah.
so there's the end user doing things, but then there's also just using the computing power of the end user, the browser.
well, they have miners, crypto
doing
miners.
useful. Right, but a lot of that is not. People don't know they're doing that.
Right.
Right.
But would you if you saw like a little, it's kind of like the person that's under construction, you know, but like mining on the side of a website, maybe you can click them on and off like while you read an article. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah. So I was just wondering if there's things like that that have been looked
Yeah.
into.
The
There
reason
totally
why
is.
I asked you
The-
about the projections is because I don't know, but I question any of that making even close to the amount of money that ads make.
Yeah.
I guess it would just be more of like there's no other alternative, right?
Yeah.
There isn't. There's just nothing. And if you're gonna make something,
Yeah, I think the mission behind your thing is like compelling. Of like, aren't we more valuable than just like feeding this capitalistic mission? That might be like, that's interesting.
and it really kind of devolved. And I hate to use the term devolve. I feel like it's appropriate into like more like a sponsored space notion, right? Like it doesn't have to be about making the monkey draw the square around the right item in the picture. Anything that just allows for us to have content on the internet without being tricked. You're being tricked into buying things. That's what an ad is, a trick into forcing you to buy something.
I would argue that there's so much content online that when ads are used properly, it's not that they're tricking you, it's that they're connecting with someone who doesn't know about something that exists that they'd actually be interested in. So it's actually referring them and connecting them.
Maybe not necessarily for the
It's
intent
like-
of purchase.
Yeah, I studied advertising back in the day, and like one of my teachers, he said like some people like Coke, some people like Sprite. You can do as much advertising you want for someone to drink Sprite, but if they don't like Sprite, they're not going to drink Sprite.
True.
So it's about connecting with the right people to drink Sprite. So
To at least try it, right?
yeah, so I mean like, and it's, you can't force. I can't make Dan start wearing like all colors instead of just like black.
I'm too goth for that.
So Google actually did kind of like a similar thing. If you've ever seen their one question surveys.
Yeah, and YouTube's doing that too.
And they actually it's a shit program in their eyes. It doesn't work. To be honest, like what they were hoping to do is just build better profiles of people. They would ask you a question like, do you like cats? You'd say yes and you get to watch a video. Do you like the color brown? You'd say yes and you watch a video. And then because of some bizarre logic, because you like cats and you like the color brown, they're now able to target you with a better ad.
Of brown cats.
Yeah, and they would come out. The woodwork would just be bizarre. The things that would come out of their conclusions would be really weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So going back to ads though, another problem is a lot of ads, like the average click-through rate is below like 0.5%. It's like 0.02%. So why is that so low? It's because we're not targeting people properly.
Is that
like,
the end of it though?
Is that the end of it?
Is it just that we're not targeting people properly? Like
It's
would 5% click through be enough for us to say we're
So
targeting properly?
it's two parts. One, we're not targeting people properly. And two, because of such terrible ads over time, we have things like ad blockers. So people that don't have ad blockers are now getting murdered with 500% more ads. And so it's just like making that number skyrocket even more to where we need a new model for what ads are. But somewhat.
Yeah. It's a really rough space. Really rough.
Anywhere that there's money to be made,
We're just trying to occupy the human's attention, right? Like that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And people are trying to tokenize that in itself, like BAT, basic attention token.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's interesting. I don't know if that's going to be the future or not. It's food for thought, though.
I mean, when you have universal basic income, what do we do?
try to get a piece of that money.
I'm going to become an artist.
Yeah.
I'm just going to paint all
It's
this.
to make
Yeah.
pretty things, right?
Yeah, that's
Make
exactly
things
it.
that are enjoyable.
Yeah.
Or lie around and enjoy the sun.
Yeah.
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 Just make the world a better place.
But that
very-
said, like I don't know if you're familiar with an anarchist named Bob Black.
Bob Black.
So he wrote a great essay called "The Abolition of Work" and these other things. It's pretty amusing. But he also did a couple of pretty interesting analysis of the place of work, which is really social control. So it's an interesting thing to consider that as the main reason why efficiency has improved, but workers' hours have stayed stagnant or gotten worse. It's not really about the efficiency. That's almost a byproduct of keeping people doing things so that they aren't doing other things that you don't want them to do.
Interesting. So you're saying like the study shows that over time we haven't actually started generating or creating more. It's that we're
At least in the U.S., like we are working as many hours or more now as we were decades ago.
And so like the consistence built around like keeping you in the office, that like that's your home mentality.
I would say like systems developed specifically, that means a bit more top-down conspiracy than I'm thinking, but more of a tendency, right?
It's interesting. Sweden just passed. I believe it was all Sweden, and I believe I'm not making this up. They passed a 6-hour workday.
Right.
So.
And France has similar things too. So this is really, it is interesting to get it's largely a U.S. phenomenon, more so than other first world nations anyway.
Yeah.
Except for Britain, maybe has our same, Protestant work ethic problem.
And there's other. I mean, like Japan is like even worse in like a lot of senses, where you have to not only work the work day, but then you actually have to go with your boss afterwards to do work type things afterwards, like grab a drink with your boss.
Work Saturdays.
So everything's built around.
Just gets sort of an interesting twist after that, where it's if you're asleep at your desk in Japan, that could mean you're a good worker.
Yeah.
Because you're so exhausted, then you have to sleep.
I would be sleeping all the time then. I would be like, listen, been working hard.
Just worked so hard all
Good
night.
night.
But isn't that kind of reflected in like nap rooms and things that like startups have, and that kind of idea?
A bit too, although I do think that's kind of a positive too. And it's also it's like, at least with startups, it's like another luxury option,
Right.
rather than a cash option, which is nice that way too. It's like okay, well here's some life balance to work if you can't offer more money. But yeah, that is another side of it too. Like, they need it. We need to keep them high powered all the time.
Right.
And that's another thing the studies have shown, that people don't necessarily care about all those extra things. It's about how they're treated in the workspace.
Yeah.
Even like extra 5% on your pay doesn't really matter if you feel that you're not being appreciated. So building that into the work cycle actually has more effect.
I love that people that take the idea, but not the meaning behind it, right? So like I had a boss that one time was like, hey, I'm gonna start ordering pizzas at 7, just to get us to stay in the office. And we were like, cool, we'll just hang out from like 6 until 7 and like shoot the shit and like, just eat some pizza and bounce. Like dinner, right? And he was like, no. You have to work to get the pizza. And we were like, oh, well, so can we just leave now and not have pizza? And he was like, but I just ordered pizza. And we were like, yeah, so you want us to eat it or not? Because that's the only thing that's going to happen in this situation.
Yeah, literally.
Good times.
That's ridiculous.
That's very ridiculous.
So do you write about near future or like what is your science fiction kind of?
It actually ends up being a fair amount of it. I guess you could say kind of Twilight Zone-y. Like I think of it as science fictional realism.
Cool.
But I'm actually working on a series right now. Just started, and the first one, the character in it, comes across a genie's lamp, but he knows that he's just going to get tricked no matter what he asks for. So he just makes a startup, takes investors in creating the perfect wish.
Oh, that is genius.
So he never actually has to make the wish.
Yeah.
He just sells shares in it and then just sells them and he's just done.
I love that.
That's great.
So I like playing around in that space. Like I'm thinking of other things with that same character now. I was thinking of just e-souls, like a cryptocurrency that's actually people's vitality that is taken from them, and then sort of just being involved in a mess like that. Like there's a lot of fun with technology as considering it as rule-based magic and the implications of that can become a very fun thing to work out in a story.
Thanks.
Consider making those into videos, like YouTube video or anything like that.
I mean, that would be cool.
I totally envision like an audience.
Yeah.
Totally primed and ready for content like that.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when you're looking like like Black Mirror stuff.
Totally.
And the overlap of like fantasy and magic and tech would be just like, I'm done. Sign me up. Yeah.
It's great.
So, I mean, would you see it as something animated or voice acted? Or?
I totally just see influencers acting it out and just like localize it, but like YouTube, you know what I mean? Like YouTube that's what it is, you know what I mean? So it's as long as it's believable and made with conviction. I mean, I saw literally the Airboards trailer. You guys seen the Airboards? It's like from years ago. But these guys like are out in LA. They made like a better trailer than like movie trailer people are able to make, and it's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. So I mean, the fact that we can make that now, I think is
That's what's cool. I did do a short film once based on a script I really liked, but I did it all myself, which was a very tough amount of work. The basic part of it is basically.
Did you play every part? Was it a one-person video?
I didn't do that. I probably should have. But
you can always go back and
I can always
make
go
it
back.
perfect. That's the only thing that was missing is me playing for
It was fun. It was super stressful. It was ridiculous, and I didn't necessarily make money off of it. So I mean, then I guess we got back to ad-based funding for things. Like, how would I mean, like, what are YouTube channels that take off that aren't just like some guy talking shit about a video game?
Yeah.
There's a whole. I literally could talk to you for about 5 hours about that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Are you big in the influencers on YouTube scene?
Yeah.
Are you friends with Logan Paul?
I mean, I have his number. No, I mean, I had some success in the gaming space making the videos that we talked about. But I worked with, because we're a business, we also paid a lot of affiliates. So like, we were friends with those people, and those people I do have.
Cool.
And like, I am friends with, but outside of that, I just know how to like grow YouTube now.
What is the whole like science and magic behind growing a channel and like growing your audience?
So like the three things that are important, the fourth one I'll say up front is like, you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
The algorithm is like going to choose weird stuff, and you're just gonna be at like, no matter what strategy you have, you're at the mercy of the algorithm choices that day. But the three things that you can do that are like the main things are how-to evergreen videos that still work. You know, a how-to video of a new flavor, a new version, the 2018 version of it, or new subject matter that hasn't been touched yet. How-tos just work. And then there's collabs. Those are like the most effective, like actually predictable way across pollinating audiences.
Wait, what is it?
Collabs.
What's collabs?
What does that mean?
Collaborating with.
Oh, collabs.
Oh, I thought you said collapse, and
Yeah, I
I'm
was
like, so
like,
we're just doing videos of us fainting.
No, it's the first thing that I know about that you guys don't know about. And then the third thing is trending topics, which is probably the hardest, but if you can do it, like, I did a video about Faraday Future, and it just like popped off because last year at CES, Faraday Future was trending at the moment that I posted. My video was the one that played after theirs.
Really?
And it just like,
wow.
Which was cool, but like, again, at the mercy of the algorithm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you guys, speaking of CES, did you guys see the thing that the Netflix show? Did you see this?
What Netflix show?
Okay, first of all, this really had me messed up because for a second I was like, is this? No, this is not. No, is this? It basically, they did this thing where they pretended like they were able to clone bodies and upload your consciousness to like this little pod thing, and I was like, no, how did I not hear about this? Am I an idiot? Like, and then I'm like, oh, it's not real. But it's, let me look up the...
This was like a booth at CES or something?
Yeah.
CES
No.
With actors
Who
and
funded
fake
that? It was
bodies.
Netflix funded this?
I didn't
Yes.
know which show
Oh,
it was.
So it's Black Mirror.
Was it Black Mirror?
It's
Yeah.
a Christmas episode of, well, maybe I shouldn't give it away.
It's
It might be
called-
Black Mirror.
It's called Altered Carbon.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different
Altered
thing.
Carbon.
So awesome.
So it's
Who
not
wrote
Black
Altered
Mirror, or
Carbon?
is
It's
it Black
not
Mirror?
Black Mirror.
Similar tone.
Yeah, yeah,
There was a similar thing, and there was a similar episode.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's talked about
I'm not
skins,
familiar with the
right?
series, but it's based on a whole science fiction series that apparently was quite good.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of military SF.
It's the same type of story, same thing has been in a lot of different, like, the idea of us switching into new bodies. But so that's why I was like, where's this from? I was like, it's very cool.
Richard Morgan wrote Altered Carbon. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2002. But the thing that's so messed up is they have like this one fake body in a bag, and there's like, it looks
Sleeves,
so
that's what they're
real.
called.
It
Yeah.
just looks
Yeah, they call them
disturbingly
sleeves.
accurate.
Okay, that looks fake. Like you see the two bodies, and they definitely look fake. But the one that's like laying in this bag is so disgusting, and it's like laying on the table, and the lady says, "Oh, feel free, come up and touch it." And this one guy is like filming it. He's like, "Oh my god!" And he touches it, and he's like, "It feels real." It's crazy. It's so funny. You like have to watch the video because I'm like, is he also an actor? Like, is he, or does he not know yet? Or like, it was so funny. I loved it. It was great. Anyway, that was the best thing about CES.
That's brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely
genius.
brilliant.
Another piece of brilliant marketing, which is thematically on advertising. KFC, if you didn't see it, had a live stream of Bitcoin price, and the streamer underneath it, it was a bucket of chicken, had the price of Bitcoin on it, and it was like, try the original recipe, don't invest in alt recipes. It was very much on target for people investing in crypto. And I was like, crypto's mainstream. KFC is literally running ads that like, yeah, it was just like great marketing. And now I really want KFC, even though I'm just like, they're
Well,
like,
you know what?
still $5.99 for a bucket in human money, or like, it was great. It was on point.
It was really funny. And I was like, I recently went home to visit my parents. I just actually got back this morning. And I was talking to my brother about like technology and stuff that's trending or whatever. And I'm like, do you know about cryptocurrency? Like, have you invested in anything? And he's like, yeah, I invested in Litecoin. I got like $3,000. I'm like, wait, what? Oh my god, this is mainstream. Everyone knows about it. But I
It's
definitely
dangerous
thought-
now.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about it.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be great.
Have you seen the graph where it's like laid on top of the tulip?
Oh, really?
There's like, it's like, and it matches perfectly. There's like a medium bump. More people know about it, then it drops, and then it's up here, and then it drops a bit, and then it's like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it was-
Which part of the tulip bubble are we in?
we're in the super rise, if
Yeah.
that matches, right?
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal put in an article that I hadn't read, but I read about, which was pretty basically sarcastic on the idea of coins and saying that Bitcoin should be valued at $800 now, and it probably, like, they're even saying it will be there by the end of the year. Like, they're thinking the bubble is going to burst
Just for the Bitcoin itself.
just for Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, that thing sucks. Bitcoin Cash is way better protocol.
Fight.
So,
Okay, well, I don't have Bitcoin Cash, so can we talk good about Bitcoin?
what do you guys think about the possibility that gigantic national level money laundering is propping up Bitcoin right now? Like, this is all like the reason it's North Korea and Russia dumping their cash to launder it into Bitcoin. What do you guys think about that as possibly being one of the reasons for the rise?
Oh, I completely think that it is something of that level, because you see simultaneously like all the altcoins rise across the board, and even coins that really
Don't mean anything.
coins that have no utility now have volume, which is bizarre, right? Like
Tron.
there's or even like I was looking at Namecoin last night, and I was like, no one uses this, but it has volume, and it was just like,
Namecoin's a legitimate project.
it is.
Though. That thing's,
It is. But when was the last time you used it, right?
2 years ago. Yeah, long time ago.
Then
So-
again, we only have like the perspective of what people are doing culturally here, too.
Again, yes.
Which
Very true.
also can skew it completely.
And I've seen some people that say, oh, well, I use alternative coins for, like, to move my money between exchanges or something, right? Like, someone said that's how they use Doge, or between two coins or something, because the transaction fees are basically nothing.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where the volume is getting used, where people are using this as channels to trade other currencies or something. But I think that it's so hard. I want to think that it's huge, and this whole conspiracy of like you know, whole countries laundering their money, and maybe it is, and maybe that validates this as a currency, right? Maybe it's by this way it becomes the global currency, right? Because now it's an asset that they hold,
and you can liquidate it
right?
really fast.
So I mean,
so its use would mean it's a currency.
and think of things like was it Contra in the 80s with the U.S. government was basically helping the sale of drugs to raise money.
You're talking about the Iran-Contra?
Yeah,
Drugs
like
to
Contra.
drugs to-
So imagine that the U.S. government, like, okay, we need to get $1 billion into the hands of this one group. How do we do that? Well, crypto. So buy into this altcoin. We'll make sure that it skyrockets.
The problem with cryptos, it's terribly illiquid. Like, you know, if I'm not saying I do. If I sat on $1 million of Bitcoin,
Your friend Joe.
right, Joe sits on $1 million of Bitcoin. To liquidate it tomorrow, it would be hard, and even like to liquidate it in a way where, you know, even like with Coinbase, it's only like 10K a week or something,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you're looking. First off, I'm thinking of like maybe like 5 years from now, and second off, you're thinking of a dollar for dollar change. Where I've even seen in groups where someone's like, "Hey, do you know anyone who would buy $1 million worth of Bitcoin?" So it's like in those cases, like yeah, you might get like 10 cents per dollar, or maybe even 5 cents per dollar, but that's enough if you're doing
That's actually close to what happens when companies, when banks launder money, is they do a steep cut just like that, because there's nothing else, like you get like 60 cents on the dollar.
And another thing with Chase, JP Morgan is they actually got in trouble for laundering money. And
We were
with
investing
the cartel. So
We were investing in cryptocurrency exchanges. This was in like 2013, 2014 maybe, and they had a liquidity problem, right? Like people were placing buy orders, but they didn't have any crypto, and so we had to go out and solicit people to sell us crypto, and we would get these people from these countries that were like, don't ask where we got the crypto, but we have a shit ton of it, and you can buy it like, you know, for, you know, a nickel on the dollar.
Here's a good rate just for you.
Yeah, just for you. And we're just like, this is getting real weird. It's getting real weird. I don't know if we want to be in this spot, but had we done that, you know, we'd be trillionaires now. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's how do you validate who's a good actor and who's right?
yeah, we're used to the problem of like, how do we get more money? But some people have the problem of we have more money than we know how to like put in the right place. There's a great Netflix show called The Ozarks that talks about this exact problem where the person's trying to figure out how to launder $500 million in like 10 years for the cartel, and it's like, how do you do that? And so how do you make everything clean? And so like, and it's the cartel, their problem is they can give them $1 billion, $10 billion. That's not the problem. The problem is how do you clean it? So
First step is to live stream the conversation.
Yeah, right. Step one.
Indiegogo campaign.
I'm just recommending the Netflix show. That's how
I gotta bail, but it was nice to meet all you guys.
Yeah.
Not because of that.
I'd like to chat more actually. If you have a contact info or something.
Hit me up. Are you guys on Meetup?
Yeah.
You are.
Your email, actually?
Yeah. Let's do email. It's probably easier. Yeah. I made a ton of videos too.
I feel a little weird talking about crypto because I don't understand it well enough to feel comfortable investing in it. And I wonder if that's like a rational feeling.
Don't look at it as investing. Look at it as burning money.
Throwing your money away.
If you have money enough where you're equally comfortable taking it out in the middle of the street and setting it on fire, then use that. Play around with that.
Okay.
I think there's so much speculation happening right now in the space. Previously, you could be like, I believe in this tech is sound, this is how people are participating in this, and this is why it's important to the future. And now it's just like, it's pump and dump schemes everywhere, right?
Okay.
And so it's real hard, and there's just tons of FOMO, right?
What's your name?
And so I stick to like Bitcoin and Ethereum and the top five. right?
Okay.
Top 5 market caps. Those are like the blue chip stocks in my opinion. And it's almost like because of their volume, because of their market cap, people have already selected that for me. And I just your friend. Yeah. That's kind of how it's always been. It's good meeting you.
I'm going to message you my email address on
Cool. That's kind of how it's always been. Is I always follow the trends of like my technical hacker friends. I've done that since I was a kid. Like when Google first came out, it was the first startup that all of my friends were talking about, and this was like super early Google, right? And I worked in an ISP, and they were all brilliant. Everyone around me was brilliant. So in that sense, I that's the only time that I'm really like, yes, the herd mentality makes sense, because all of these people who are smarter than me has probably vetted all of these things.
You're in a concentrated herd.
Yes.
Okay, well, that makes kind of sense. I work in a financial company, so all the engineers are trading crypto, and I'm just like, this is a whole new world to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very helpful.
Yeah, get with it.
Try some crack.
But I'll be honest, it's been on a tremendous bull run, so everyone's an expert on how to make money because everyone's making money. Wait till it cools down a bit, and then figure out who's right and wrong.
All right, so I'll keep stuffing in my savings account for now, and then at some point when I feel like I'm comfortable to drop like $500 in it, I'll do that.
Yeah.
February's going to see a really big fluctuation too.
You think so?
Why do you think that? Because they're having the initial like suggestatory whatever meeting they're having with Mnuchin.
What is this?
Oh, for policy?
Yeah.
Mnuchin, Trump's Secretary of
Finance.
Yeah, what
he's like the most
Treasury.
evil person in the world. He really is. But
You
he's
say evil person in the world?
He's evil. He's an evil dude. But
is he incompetent also?
no, he's extremely competent.
Okay, so that's a little better.
There's a significant likelihood that they'll just take all regulations away, or they'll throw on 10 times as much regulation. But there
Come out
would
like
be.
Trump coin.
Yeah.
Oh
And that's the only thing the country can use.
I would invest in Trump coin.
I would too.
Yeah.
I would try to get in on the pre-sale.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
early on.
Pre ICO. Yeah.
And not because I believe in it, but I believe that like this might be the only way we are able to buy food in here. You know, like.
Fund is competition, right? That'd be okay.
Yeah. You know, it's surprising. I've talked to, so our company has a PR company, and we talk, their background is in politics, right? And we talk about politics and how it makes sense at this point for more politicians to start taking up a cryptocurrency platform or a cryptocurrency as their platform to talk about and raise funds and kind of drive, be a part of that future, right?
Yeah.
And no one's really embraced it in politics yet. I don't get it.
Because they're always behind the times. Hillary was using a BlackBerry phone that wasn't even in existence anymore because she refused to get a normal phone. Okay, like think about your audience.
Lock her up.
I don't know.
I mean, I just like they're so behind the times, especially with technology.
Like if a politician came out and said, "I'm pro net neutrality and I'm gonna raise an ICO and we're gonna do this. I'm going all the way to White House," I'd be kind of in.
No.
I'd be in.
Is that because there are no computer scientists who are politicians?
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, so you had Obama, who was relatively young as president's going. He was further along with technology than a lot of presidents
Right.
had been.
He likes his BlackBerry too, though.
Yeah, but he was pro net neutrality and
Yeah, and he was very open to new emergent technological shifts, right?
including like YouTube addresses and things.
Right.
Yeah.
And he had a committee on AI and things like this where they even had a whole dossier on like what AI means and like, you know, I thought that was really super progressive. And do you think it's just like the age of the person in office and how they embrace what they do? Or
I think that's a big part of it. I think it's just familiarity with it or just the idea that it can be useful. I mean, I struggle a bit with some of my relatives who are the baby boomer generation who just, it seems that they have a meta issue, right? Like, so if you're used to a cell phone, you can pick up a cell phone you don't know, and you have a strategy to figure out how to do what you need to do. And it seems like something like that is missing.
Okay.
Where it's like if something is a little bit different, they don't have the higher level understanding of just a few principles to apply to figure something out. And that seems to be something that's come along with growing up more familiar with technology and realizing just being more comfortable with shifting interfaces.
Like adapting to new.
Yeah, just the idea that it's part of it that you will have to adapt. That's probably the main thing actually. It's like seems like an emotional thing. Like there's a certain resentment of having to figure something out that can be somewhat age-based maybe as people get older, they get comfortable, they don't want to be uncomfortable again. But there also seems to be a mindset, a pre-personal technology mindset too, that they shouldn't have to. And to a certain extent they're not wrong. And that good user interface means that you shouldn't have to figure things out a lot. But also there's a lot of things you can take advantage of if you're able to shift how you approach interfaces. So I think that's like a main difference that is at least correlating.
That's going to be, I mean, it's a lot more prevalent now with them because of, the massive amounts of changes. Think back, 60 years ago, like with technology, but we're going to have the same problem. Like, it's just, it'll always happen. It'll just like, once we're to the point where we can actually see.
So
I'm always interested to hear stories about like high school and middle school kids now, like what they can do with technology that I would never even think of. So.
Well, one thing I want to ask, would you yourself ever invest in a politician's cryptocurrency?
Just for the sake of giving him money to get going.
Yeah.
It's like they're fun.
Yeah.
It's better than an Indiegogo.
You're asking, would you give them money? How they use that money? If it's a crypto, sure. Yeah. I would do the Bernie coin.
Would you?
I would think about it, but I'd have a main, really like a political issue, which is dark money.
Yep.
It really bothers me.
So
that would be a main reason not to. I think, Citizens United enabling a lot of things along this path is kind of a lot of the problems I'm dealing with. So that would be my main reason not to.
Interesting.
It would have to have a lot of transparency built into it, where you'd see who's actually doing the purchases and where the money's coming from.
Done like that maybe is a bit anti-intuitive. That would be great. Like it's the opposite of cryptocurrency. Every transaction shows exactly who it came from, and there's no hiding.
I mean, that's like...
So like a Keybase plus crypto kind of experience.
Basically, yeah.
There's a cryptocurrency that I just learned about yesterday called Swift Demand. Have you guys heard of this?
Pump your crypto.
Alright, so it's not my crypto. There's a guy named Chris. I was at another meetup yesterday, and he's developing this cryptocurrency that functions like universal basic income. So you log in once a week, you click a button, you get 100 Swifts. And then your identity is verified by a central authority, and you get a limited supply of Swifts. And I can imagine pairing that with something like a political figure, like I'll take your Swifts because there's a very limited supply of them. It's spread out a bunch through a bunch of people instead of just one person that's giving you 1 billion Swifts. I wonder if there's something that we could do along those lines where there's a little more centralized authority and some kind of a universal element to it instead of this is just for hackers sort of thing.
You mean centralized versus having centralized control of this?
Yeah, a little more centralized maybe.
What do you think? Would you invest in a politician?
No, I would not because I don't believe in politicians. And I don't believe in the government.
They believe in you, though.
No, they don't. They're liars. They all lie. I don't believe in them. And no.
Well, so suppose you had to choose, these were the only two choices, like getting mugged or getting murdered.
I think that I can handle someone mugging me. Now, someone murdering me, I'm not sure because mugging doesn't necessarily mean. What even is that? Okay, so this is the thing. Mugging means that they're just taking stuff from me. Murdering means they're ending my life. So I can handle mugging because they might not have a weapon.
Okay, so one candidate's going to mug you and the other's going to murder you.
So I hate that metaphor that you have two choices, because that's the biggest problem with government today.
I agree that
that was the same garbage pile as why we have what we have now, is because South Park did the best example of this turd sandwich or douchebag. What are your two choices for? So like,
it sucks.
We need to stop thinking of it in that space.
I hate that that's how things are.
Because we let it be that way.
But yes, but that's how things are this year.
It's been like that for 15
All right,
years.
no politics. Let's talk about. All right, so we have an iPhone X here. Do you have an iPhone? Do you
Is
have
that the
an iPhone X?
unboxing? I wasn't.
Okay. Do you have an iPhone? Do you have an iPhone X?
No,
Anyone
I
have
don't.
an iPhone? I don't.
I have
either.
an iPhone 8.
It's $1,000.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It's $1,200.
Oh, wow! Don't drop it.
That's 1% more money.
It is gorgeous.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Can I touch it?
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's got a little Connect in it.
I didn't get the Apple Care because what?
You don't need the Apple.
You know
Care.
what I like about the iPhone X is also that it's Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, it is beautiful, but I hate these AirPods are so stupid.
You want your 3.5mm jack?
How do you
back?
turn this thing on?
I don't know.
So it came with the AirPods, so that's like a couple hundred. That's like 150.
Oh, yeah.
No, are those earphones?
Wait,
or
they're
those...
not
Are they?
AirPods.
I don't think they are.
They're traditional.
The wired ones.
Yeah.
Oh, they have the USB-C.
They try to trick you.
Means you got to go back to the Mac store.
Or maybe that's just the charging?
You should get Scotty to build you a 1/8 jack.
Yeah, right. That is so stupid.
Oh, here you go.
Wait, I want to
Turn it on.
All right. It says pull up.
Okay, it really is beautiful. I mean, that looks beautiful. What do we do? Do we press this?
I heard there was some issues with the top part there. They hadn't
The
really
tab?
designed the interface for, like, say you're on a web page
Yeah.
with the top part now.
It's all black.
Obscuring.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that just basically probably means pages just have to adjust how they display.
yeah.
Why can't we, like,
Swipe up.
I had to go through every language of hello. Hey, what happened?
It's
Swipe up. Got it. Okay.
Did you buy a case for this?
No. Well,
Okay. I mean, I'm fine not having a case of my $50 Android phone.
that's a lot of $50 Android phones.
why can't I just, like, keep going? Why do I have to do
There you
this?
go. Now you've instantly been hacked because you've connected to the Noisebridge network. Your iPhone's rooted right now.
It's
Yeah,
too
we got a lot
late.
of Apple products on this table.
I don't know. I think it looks cooler than I thought it was going to look.
What is the company? Huawei? Is that
Huawei. Yeah.
Huawei? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Huawei. I think they might be able to offer competitive products to what Apple does. I've never played with one, but
What is
They're
what
cool.
is that?
it looks cool. It's like the Chinese Apple, right? Can I say that? Is that a thing?
They are Chinese.
Yeah, and they came out at CES, and I think it was CES where they were like, look, we can't sell our phone in the U.S. because carriers won't carry our phone. But some people came out and was like, yeah, probably because you're like, it might be a Trojan horse for the Chinese government,
Yeah.
and that's probably
It is a Trojan horse.
right. But if I can get it at a discounted price,
You just got to drop it or give us a Trojan horse discount.
right.
Give us
Like
12%.
free.
Yeah. Well, so I have a blue phone, Amazon blue phone, that was $50, and it's supplemented by ads, right? And it was made. I know, and it was made by a company. I think it turns out that security researchers found out that it kept dialing home to China.
There you go.
Right? And so that's why it kind of was $50 because they were like trying to get it in the hands of everyone. I still have mine and I love it. And I don't care if China knows that what I'm tweeting about is daily inspirational quotes or I'm at Noisebridge. But it's hard for me to get rid of a $50 cell phone that works. I don't know if I could purchase a $1,200 phone.
Well, could you root it with cyanogen or something?
I cannot root that phone.
Really?
I cannot. Yeah. They have Amazon put on a special like a bootloader or something.
You're welcome.
That doesn't allow me to root the phone. There's no routers out there.
Huh.
And since they fixed that problem of the Chinese stealing your data, the new phones are like $150 at minimum. So there's $100 extra for you to.
The Chinese are like, we're out.
Yeah, you cannot get a $50 phone off Amazon anymore.
That's so stupid.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
just not fair.
So I guess this is the grand unboxing.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, whatever. It's been out for a while. Sorry.
It looks beautiful.
It does.
Yeah,
It actually is beautiful. I'm pretty surprised.
What can you do with it?
Well, nothing, because I don't have a SIM card.
Can you call my $50 Android?
Can you do the face recognition yet?
No, I can't do anything because I don't have a SIM card. I can use the flashlight. That's all I can
To help you find your SIM card?
do. Yeah.
That's great. It looks beautiful.
It doesn't have a built-in SIM card? You're just saying like the you don't have it connected to a account or?
I don't have a SIM card yet. I have to get a
Weird.
SIM card. Because I can just go home and get my old SIM card.
Yeah, hop it in.
Can you do that?
If it's on the same network, you can support the same network.
I mean, like if it's got like the right port on it or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Cross
I'm
Android to
curious.
Apple with that too. Same SIM card, do you think? I
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think if it's AT&T, like my H2O, I have H2O,
yeah.
which is like the knockoff MVNO for like AT&T, and I think I can move that back and forth to anything that supports that network, right? I think, unless it has like a pairing
I don't
on the
know.
network.
My understanding is that when there's an opportunity for you to pay more money, you will pay more money.
Yeah.
I was confused because one of the versions of the Apple iPhone they came out with, they wouldn't actually let you take the SIM card out. You had to use a SIM card that was installed, and you could change between providers. But one of the providers, like AT&T, once you change to it, they wouldn't let you change from that to another provider.
What
And
the?
there's a lot of sketchiness with Apple.
Apple.
I still use Apple for my daily everything, but
There's a lot of terribleness with telecoms in general.
Yeah, right? They brought it.
So what's going to happen with net neutrality? Well,
it's gonna make everything better.
Maybe we'll wrap
California
up
is
with.
going to regulate it. Every
Yeah,
state's just going
states
to
are
pass
gonna
its
do
own
that.
regulations,
Right.
and nothing's going to change.
Hopefully.
See, the problem with that is that the federal government will just say states shouldn't be able to regulate this because it's a federal matter,
Yeah.
which they've done with other cases similar. So, like, I know, like, New York and California were going to set up their own, and I think even, like, some other, like, southern states. But the government will just be like, oh, it's going to cause so many problems for the consumer that seems to be a federal regulation problem.
This is going to be a toxic item for politicians to touch.
I
Like,
know.
what? I mean, don't get me wrong, they've done a lot of toxic stuff and they're still there, but, like, I don't know. Hopefully this one makes a difference. Don't touch my internet ads.
Yeah.
All right. So, are there any last-minute projects that people would like to plug? We're kind of winding down Hack Days. How long have we been here?
I actually got a mosey
Too
right
long.
now.
Okay.
I really enjoyed all of y'all.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
All right. See ya.
Do you have your company now that you're working for that people can go and check out, that I can go and check out?
Yeah.
What I was
Plug
talking about?
yourself?
No, not at all. That's
No?
totally, it's on my GitHub. You can look at it.
What's your GitHub?
Whiskey. WISKI.
All right.
WIS.
And if people want to follow you on social media, Twitter.
I don't do that.
All right.
See you guys.
All right. See
Bye
ya.
now.
Okay, so now's the time that we go around and we kind of plug our social accounts, plug events, meetups, anything that we're a part of. This is your time to shine.
Sure.
Wanna start?
So my most social thing that I do is SoundCloud. I put a lot of my music on there. You can find me at if you search for Cameron Seabach on SoundCloud. I know it's a terrible last name. It's SEEBACH. And you can find my work there.
Cool.
S-double-E what's it?
SEEBACH.
Okay, great. I'm Nathan T. Ross on everything. I work on Synapse AI as a co-founder, but also on February 1st, if anyone's looking for something fun to do in the San Francisco Bay Area, there's a little event called Decentralized-AI.com or Decentralized AI Summit. It's going to be amazing. Catherine can give you more details, I'm sure, once she gets to her person, but Decentralized AI Summit, so that's coming up, so.
So I was happy to just stop in. So I'll point you to my Amazon page, amazon.com/author/James Beach.
Oh, awesome.
BACH.
I thought you were going to pitch a wish list.
Me too.
If you want to buy me something,
Yeah, sounds good. We'll get up.
can you say it one more
Go ahead.
time so we can write it in?
Amazon.com/author/James BEACH should get you there.
Anything else you want to plug?
Just nothing immediately. Books that I'm working on, I'll be posting there.
Nice. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. As usual, I'm Dan Gailey. You can find me on Twitter at DPG. You can find me on Facebook at Dan Gailey. That's Gailey. I am the co-founder and CEO of Synapse.ai. We're trying to decentralize AI for the good of everyone. And we're also throwing the Decentralized AI Summit, which is going to be amazing. Going to have amazing companies, amazing researchers. We're going to have drones out. We're going to have autonomous vehicles. So we're trying to capture this whole network of multi-agent systems that will work together and grow smarter together. So check that out at decentralized-ai.com. We also throw the Crypto Builders Meetup every second and fourth Wednesday here at Noisebridge. If you're interested to come out, learn Solidity, learn from other hackers in the space, that's the place to do it. So you can come out, it's an open forum, so if you want to talk about your project or present some research, you can do that here. You can find us on meetup.com, and you can search Hack Days or Crypto Builders Meetup. And as usual, we have Hack Days every Sunday. So if you have a project that you want to share, come out and talk about, or just share in the comments, stay tuned, because we do that rain or shine. All right, your turn.
Hi, my name is Catherine, and we're having the Decentralized AI Summit on February 1st in San Francisco, so if you're in the Bay Area, you can research it on Eventbrite, or you can just go to decentralized-ai.com.
We have the space. Well, we flash forward. I touched this thing. I think it's live right now. I didn't touch any. I just heard the. We were done anyways.
Wait, it's still recording.
Yeah, so
it's not connected. It's still recording. Did you say it was live?
Oh, you're right. She said, yeah, that's really all I had to say.
Oh, what did you say?
Decentralized AI.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
And they can find you online? Where?
Nowhere.
Okay. And you want to hold up the iPhone? All right, we'll see you next time. Be excellent to each other and hack the planet. Woo!